Every morning I wake up asking myself, what am I going to talk about in my next episode, in my next podcast? And one day I woke up thinking, okay, I'm going to ask my audience what they want me to talk about. So I asked my followers, I asked my audience what sort of things that they want me to talk about, the questions that they have for me that they would like me to answer. And I got a bunch of questions, and a lot of people asked me a lot of things. So I'll be answering some of those questions that people ask me. A lot of people ask me about my dating life, which I'll be explaining in this podcast. And another guy asked me whether I'm into politics, whether I follow politics. And a bunch of people asked me that how exactly I changed my mindset, like what happened, what exactly happened. Although I feel like I have answered that question before, but I'm gonna dig not deeper, but I'm gonna address that question also in this podcast. And also, I'll be explaining some interesting facts about the podcast that I listened to, A Diary of a CEO, and one of their most recent episode, this emergency debate that they had with Gary Stevenson and Daniel, which was really interesting, and I was really enjoying that debate. There were certain scenarios that they discussed, certain things that they discussed. I found them a bit hideous, but at the same time, I understand that that is true. It's the reality. So I'll be digging into all those things. So stay tuned, and this is Think Big with Lasindu. Okay, let's address the question whether I'm into politics, whether I'm following politics. I feel like you have to play politics in order to become successful, and I feel like you have to follow politics in order to become successful. And I don't mean it lightly. I don't mean that I'm not saying that you need to follow politics in terms of just your country, but if you want to become a global personality, if you want to build a business or become an entrepreneur globally, worldwide, you need to be able to follow geopolitical things and follow what's going on, especially or when it's come to world leaders like USA and China. In USA, most of the people have their eye on these JFK files that has been released. Like they say that they have released 80,000 pages or 80,000 documents. And I've been following this story as well. And I find it really funny that CIA decided to release 80,000 pages. And I know for a fact, I went through some of those documents, but for one, I don't think that they have released the complete 80,000 pages. I believe as I'm talking to you right now, as I'm recording this podcast right now, they are still releasing those pages. And at the same time, I don't think that anybody will be able to find a person or an organization that is actually accountable for the assassination of JFK. You will not be able to point out and say, okay, that person or that organization is accountable for that assassination. Because if CIA really wanted to release that, like if CIA really wanted to tell that, okay, this is the person or this is the organization that is accountable or who did that assassination, they could have just released one document, one file, one document, which is, all right, this is the person that you have been looking for all these years, and that person is dead right now. So let's get on with this. But no, they did not do that. So I don't believe that anybody will be able to find the person who's responsible. But at the same time, I believe that people will be able to find certain sub scenarios, how Israel is involved, how Jewish people are involved, how Russia is involved, what did China did, what's the relationship with Germany and BND, and what happened in Australia with the Canberra CIA office, like all this stuff. But at the same time, I don't think that anybody will be able to find the person or the organization who actually did that assassination. Anyhow, so yes, I am following politics all around the world, especially in terms of USA and China. And I believe that Trump is doing certain things, that certain decisions that he takes is really fascinate me. And I strongly believe that irrespectively of whether you're a fan of Donald Trump or not, I strongly believe that you need to read the book, The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. And once you read that book, it will most definitely change the way you are thinking of Trump. But more than that, you will understand certain decisions that he has made so far in his presidential journey. For one incident, a couple of weeks ago, I believe that Trump was putting this thing out there saying Joe Biden signed certain pardons and stuff using an auto pen. created this whole media spin, and the media started crawling into that story and like trying to figure out like whether presidents can actually sign pardons using an auto pen and whatnot. Whereas in the back end, behind the doors, Trump went and advised BlackRock to purchase two ports in the Panama Canal, and now US owns two of those main ports in Panama Canal, which is really important in terms of the global trades, especially when it's come to having certain negotiation leverage with China. Trump is really moving fast, and China is trying to like keep up with it. Not only just China, like pretty much the whole world is trying to keep up with it, and it's really difficult. He's doing this, he's signing this executive order, that executive order. He's not stopping. I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, I am into politics. I'm not into politics, but I am following politics. I'm following things all around the world. What's happening in Australia, what's happening in China, what's happening in Russia, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in Middle East and Canada. Canada is another story. I'm not going to dive deeper into the Canadian issues. But if anybody wants me to talk about my opinion in terms of this Canada issue, I would love to like talk about it, but not in this podcast, maybe in future podcasts. So yes, I do follow politics closely and try to understand what's happening, because I believe that I need to position myself properly in order to become successful, because you have to play politics in order to become successful. I believe in that, because if you refuse to play the game, if you ignore it, you will slow the process, because others will be playing politics, they will be playing the game. So if you don't play the game properly, I feel like you're gonna slow the process. Moving on to the next one of the recent episode by The Diary of a CEO, and they had this emergency debate with Gary and Danielle, which was really fascinating. They were talking about the class system, why rich keep on getting richer and the middle class keep on getting poor, and the poor people are being crushed. And most of the facts that both parties were bringing onto the table is true. I believe it's true. And at one point, Gary was saying that her sister is a really hard worker who's working as a poet. She's writing poems, but she's not successful. She's not financially successful. She's having a hard time paying the rent and everything. And which makes sense. And at the same time, I believe so here's how I would look at it. I believe you need to embrace certain skills in order to become successful, depending on the timeline that you're living in. Because I don't feel if you had, like for an example, let's just say, okay, let's just take an example. Let's say there are two plumbers and they both are family men. They both are working really hard to make a living. So one plumber is working really hard, trying to make a living and doing what he got to do to run his family. The other one is also working hard, trying to make a living and doing what he had to do to run his family. But at the same time, he developed a new skill, which is content creation. So he's recording, he's documenting his day-to-day life and uploading it on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere. So this plumber is working really hard. This plumber is also really working hard, and also like he has put more work and more effort in order to like create the content. He has learned a new skill as well while plumbing. So which one do you think is going to be more successful, is going to be more rich in 3 years, 5 years time? I guess we all know the answer. So I believe it's not just what you learned in school or what you passionate about. I think that you need to sort of position yourself, and also you need to work hard. At the same time, you need to work smart and learn certain skills that would align with the current market trends and economical trends. Because I feel like most of the things that people are learning in school, in universities, are not going to be relevant in terms of becoming successful in the future days, because I feel like the whole education system all around the world, it's not just one particular country, I'm not targeting one particular country, but all around the world is far behind. And I feel like many of y'all can learn a lot more things for free on YouTube, and there's so many other platforms than the 4-year degree that you are doing in a university. I believe that people need to understand where this world is heading. I just saw UAE is gonna invest $1.4 trillion as I'm recording this. They have said that they are going to invest $1.4 trillion into US economy and in 4 industries. Main one being the AI. So they are investing in AI infrastructure and energy, of course, and microchips like a semiconductor. And the last one was, I believe it was manufacturing. So AI, energy, microchips, and manufacturing. So those are the industries that money is flying. So you need to develop skills that you could either start a business in those industries or sort of develop skills that you could climb up the corporate ladder in those industries, because those industries are going to be the industries that's going to grow massively and disrupt the whole economy in next 5 to 10 years time. So if you are in your late teens or early 20s, start embracing those skills now instead of just going through old outdated skill sets. So let's talk about how am I motivated all the time. People always often ask me like, what is my secret to have such a mindset? Let me tell you, there's no such secret. If I tell you that I have a pill, if you take that pill every single day for 3 years or for 5 years time, and you will become successful, 100% guaranteed that you will become successful and you will be able to get everything that you ever wanted in your life. You'll be able to take care of your family in 5 years time or 3 years time. Would you take that pill? I believe you would, right? You would take that pill every single day because that's easy. The thing is that pill is not an actual pill. That pill is discipline. That pill is hard work. That pill is dedication. That pill is consistency, which most people don't do, which most people refuse to do. I guess that's the reason why most people don't have such a mindset, because they are lazy. They don't learn from the feedbacks that has been given. Because this is the thing, guys. Most people learn their lessons the hard way. For an example, okay, let's just imagine if you are driving a car really fast and you feel like the wheel slides away. So you are supposed to slow down. You need to slow down, right? But no. What people typically do is they continue driving fast and they crash. And they realize, oh, I should have slowed down. Because that is the only way that people learn. People learn the hard way. People don't look into the feedbacks. People don't look into these tiny things that are happening right in front of them and get something or learn something from those feedbacks. So this is the problem, and this is why you need to understand that you have to be in control of your mind. You need to give attention to tiny things that's happening around you and learn from things and develop certain level of discipline and work ethic in order to become successful, which is really hard. I get it. I understand, because I am going through shitload of pain. I am suffering. I'm not saying that I'm enjoying it. I'm not saying this is fun. But this is the reality. The people need to understand. People need to listen to this and understand this fact and realize this, because I genuinely believe people want certain things in life, but they don't want to go and take it, because that is the hardest part, right? Imagine, because this is why most people are addicted to video games, playing video games, because that sort of mimics virtually what you should be really doing in the real world. Like upgrading your guns, buying these skins, upgrading your character, exploring the map. These are the things you should be doing in real life. You need to upgrade your character mentally, physically, emotionally. But people refuse to do that because it is hard. You can do those things virtually in games. That is the reason why most people are addicted to these games. But when it's come to real life, people don't want to update their character because it is hard. But believe me, in real life, it is much more rewarding. It is much, much more rewarding. So trust me, get out of those video games and start upgrading your character in real life, and you will be able to see the results for yourself. So let's address the elephant in the room. A lot of people ask me about my dating life. Am I currently dating or not? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that, whether I'm dating or not, because I'm not going to reveal my private life publicly to anybody. But at the same time, I want people to understand several things. In terms of dating or being with a partner, okay, so this is just my sense, okay, my understanding. Okay, this might be controversial. Some of those folks who are listening to me right now might not agree with me. As I said before, I'm just a guy thinking out loud, so this is just my opinion, my idea. As men grow older, I feel like the bar that they set for the partner that they want to have in their life is just goes high. And as women gets older, I feel like that bar goes low, which is really fascinating to me. I don't know. For an example, okay, just imagine, just take a 21, 22-year-old guy, and he would just date or go out with any girl who's breathing, right? Like literally any girl who's breathing. But if you take a 21-year-old girl, she has this character that she has built in her mind. So like she want, okay, this kind of a guy with this kind of qualities and all this other. So she wouldn't go out with just anybody. So her bar is really high. But when you are really young, when you are a really young guy, your bar is pretty low. You would just date anybody who's breathing. Any girl out there, are you breathing? All right, let's go out on a date. Let's get the ball rolling. But in terms of girls, it's the other way around. But as men grow older, not only just grow older, like as men gets more matured, get more experience in the society and everything, they sort of tend to level up their bar. Because I believe when it's come to men, our biggest fear is ended up being with the wrong person. And I believe when it's come to women, their biggest fear is being ended up alone. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong over here, right? I believe as men, our biggest fear is being ended up with the wrong person. And as women, I believe their biggest fear is being ended up alone one day. So I believe that is why as women grow older, that is the reason why their bar for their partner goes low, because their fear comes up of being alone, so they need to find somebody. And as men, we grow older, we get more experience, we are going to be mature, and we set our bar high. I mean, if I'm to get into this whole dating aspect and this whole men and women thing, how it works, and this psychological aspects of things, it's gonna take so much time. So I'm not gonna dig deeper, but that's my 2 cents of dating. I don't know. Again, I'm just a guy who's thinking out loud. I'm just sharing my own opinion, and feel free to correct me on comments or just point out. But I'm talking about the majority, right? I'm talking about the majority. I'm not talking about like small group of men or small group of women. I'm talking about the majority. And I feel like that is the case. So if you guys want me to dig deeper into this, I will. But for the time being, Remember, always stay sharp, stay obsessed, and think big.